Hi, welcome to the Quipster Film Review Podcast. My name is Vince Leo. I am the film critic for the website Quipster.net. You can find all of my written work there at that website, nearly 3,900 film reviews to read anytime. Quipster.net is where to go. QWIPSTER.net. Today I'm going to be looking at the latest film. It's a live-action film from Disney. It's called Queen of Katwe. It's a drama, biopic. It's PG rated because of thematic elements, an accident scene, and some suggestive material. It runs 2 hours and 4 minutes. The cast includes the main star, Medina Nalwanga, with large supporting roles going to David Oyelowo, Lupita Nyong'o, and some smaller supporting roles for Martin Cabanza, Taryn K. Kiazi, Ivan Jacobo, and Ethan Nazario Lubega. The director is Mira Nair, and the screenplay is by William Wheeler, who is basing it on an ESPN article as well as a follow-up nonfiction book by Tim Carruthers. As I mentioned, this is a live-action Disney biopic. It's in collaboration with ESPN Films. It's about a real-life person, Fiona Mutesi, who we see growing up in Katwe in the crime-ridden slums of Kampala, which is the capital of Uganda, with a future ahead of her that seems to offer more of the same for her and her family, basically continuing the cycle of poverty that has existed in this area for many years. David Oyelowo is I guess he's kind of a co-star. He plays this Christian missionary, this youth outreach coordinator named Robert Katende. Katende discovers that there is a hidden prodigy in Fiona when he gathers some of the local children together to teach them the game of chess. Fiona gets very good very quickly. She soon starts to best all of the kids in Katwe, and that leads Robert to seek greener pastures for Fiona as well as her family by trying to have her compete in competitions that are sponsored by schools for generally more formally educated students. However, opportunities are pretty scarce for someone of Fiona's situation, not only because of prejudice against people of the slums, but you also need money to enter some of these competitions. And Fiona's widowed mother, Harriet, played by Nyong'o, grows increasingly concerned that the path Robert has her on will lead to a diminishing of her home life and her ability to earn money to help feed her and the family by selling maize, which is corn, at the local market. As I mentioned, Queen of Katwe is directed by Mira Nair, who's most famous for directing the very highly critically acclaimed and fan favorite film called Monsoon Wedding many years ago. She's Indian born, but she also happens to be a Kampala resident. Her husband is Ugandan. She is directing this with a lot of professional flair. The movie does conform into your typical underdog sports film formula, so there's not going to be a lot of surprise within the course of this movie, but there is much more emphasis on how the sport, if you want to call chess a sport, I don't happen to think it is, but other people may qualify it as such. The emphasis is not on the intricacies of the chess matches themselves, but rather how it affects the characters. And it doesn't put so much emphasis on the importance of winning so much as the importance of always persevering, always trying, always doing the best one can, and learning from mistakes. Also, while yes, it is a formula film, it is very different in that Fiona's challenges are something that you don't find in traditional sports films because we have the social climate of Uganda to take into account, especially in the attitudes toward women as well as the poor, and her sense of responsibility to the well-being of her immediate family in order to help them stay afloat. She's very critical to make sure that her family is well fed, and in fact, she spends a couple of hours every day just going to get drinkable water for her family, so she's very much needed in the family in an immediate fashion. While Fiona is very smart, at least in terms of the game of chess, she's also illiterate. Her family could not afford to send her to school past the age of 6. Her intelligence is often devalued in this environment in which women are derided for their intellect, sometimes even bullied by their male counterparts. So it does offer some unique touches in this light. It's also a fairly refreshing film that shows that success is often not achieved by one's talent alone. Fiona needs a kind-hearted mentor to even find that there is a path for her available. She needs an understanding mother to believe in her and to spur her on and give her permission to do the things that she needs to do. She needs a very supportive family to see that there's actually value in pursuing this dream of competing in these chess competitions, and she needs this neighborhood to help support her, enough to make her believe in herself and her abilities that will eventually lead to her success. Queen of Katwe is beautifully acted. There's a strong debut central performance by Medina Nalwanga as Fiona. She imbues her character with all of the charisma, the liveliness, the intelligence to believe her in the role of this young woman coming into her own, both as a woman as well as an intellectual force. David Oyelowo, who's an incredible actor, he anchors the film in yet another solid turn as the inspirational mentor of Robert, whose integrity and his heart forms the basis for these children to believe in themselves in this world that would rather not even think about them at all. He's a man shown as being in conflict between having to make life decisions to help benefit the children who need his help, and on the other hand, the wife and child of his own who need him to provide them by finding a well-paying job that might take him away from his role in inspiring underprivileged youth. Lupita Nyong'o, who gets top billing in this film even though she's probably third in terms of screen time, she's a supporting player, but she does play this mother whose pride as both a blessing and a curse in a very well-suited fashion. Now, there are some who are going to think that Nyong'o is too young to play the mother of teenagers, but I do think that it should be noted that the actress is actually, in reality, 33 years old. And it also should be noted that roughly half of Katwe's teenage girls are already mothers. So this definitely is a very plausible thing. And on another note, it's not really directly to the quality of the film itself, but I do think, personally, I found it refreshing to see that there's a major studio out there that's pushing the story set in Uganda that did not find a need to inject big name actors to market it to wider markets. And then specifically, Hollywood has over many years put a Caucasian actor in order to try to sell it to certain markets, including those markets in the United States. So it's good to see that Disney resisted the urge to do that in order to try to recoup more money and to actually try to tell the tale the way that it should be told. Also refreshing is that we see a film that's actually set in Africa that doesn't show it as this continent of strife and war and genocide. Certainly it is a somewhat watered down version, I guess, of Katwe because it is a very crime-ridden area of Kampala. Yet a lot of it is actually set and filmed in the town itself, so it doesn't really shy away from showing a lot of that poverty. But the film is not really about that. It's about overcoming one's personal challenges, just showing that anybody can make it if they have the determination to try. This is a film about day-to-day living in Uganda specifically, and you have the characters that are there that have to make decisions based on those real, relatable problems that they face in front of them every day. Now, you don't have to love or even know how to play the game of chess to enjoy Queen of Katwe as a story. It's more about how Fiona has to overcome her own issues more so than how much she needs to overcome any particular opponents. There is some chess action, sure, in the movie, but the movie doesn't get into heavily intricate rules or anything like that. Everything that you need to know is explained within the course of the film, metaphorically speaking, and as well as on the surface as well. For those interested in inspirational stories based on true life events that surround the world of sports or games, I do think that Queen of Katwe delivers a traditional underdog, makes good story about characters that we don't get to see portrayed in films very often, and so therefore, I think that it is worth going out of your way to see. It does play mostly as a family film that skews toward adolescent viewers, but I still think that this is a very hopeful, very inspiring human story of this metaphoric pawn that perseveres across the proverbial board to become eventually a queen, as the title denotes, and that should entertain all audiences from any walk of life. And I'm giving 3.5 stars out of 4 to Queen of Katwe, and 3.5 stars on my scale means I think that this is a good film. It's worth going out of your way to see if you're at all interested in the subject matter. Inspiring stories, biopics about the game of chess, and of how people, regardless of where they are in life around the world, are able to find a path they may not know have existed for them. Thank you everyone for listening. I hope that you enjoyed this review. If you do go out to the theater and see Queen of Katwe, I do hope that you'll reach out and let me know what you think. You can go to my website and find my contact information as well as links to my Twitter feed and Facebook page where you can also get in touch with me. That's at quipster.net, QWIPSTER.net.